Hello, everyone, and welcome to English Passage Podcast, where we don't just learn English as a subject, but we actually experience it through meaningful, real-life conversations that help you feel more confident in everyday situations.
And where each conversation is designed in a way that you can not only understand it while listening, but also imagine yourself speaking in the same situation, which makes learning both practical and enjoyable at the same time.
I'm your host, Mira, and today I'm joined by my co-host, Arav, who always brings such honest reactions, relatable thoughts, and sometimes even funny moments into our conversations.
Thank you, Mira. And I have to say that today's topic is something I personally relate to, because I still remember those moments when I entered a quiet library and suddenly felt unsure about even the simplest English sentences.
Have you ever walked into a school library, looked around at the silent environment, and suddenly felt like even asking a simple question in English might disturb the peace around you?
Or even worse, you prepare a sentence in your mind while walking toward the librarian, but the moment you reach the desk, your mind goes completely blank and you just stand there, trying to remember what you wanted to say.
That situation is so real. And honestly, it happens to so many English learners, even those who understand English quite well but hesitate when it comes to speaking.
And the silence of the library somehow makes everything feel more intense, as if every word you say will echo across the room.
So today, we're going to walk together through a complete school library experience where you'll learn not only what to say, but also how to say it in a calm, polite, and confident way. Let's imagine a student named Ria, who has recently joined a new school and is entering the library for the very first time, feeling both curious about the books around her and slightly nervous about speaking in English.
As she walks inside, she notices how quiet and organized everything is. And at the same time, she becomes more aware of her own movements, trying to walk slowly and carefully so she doesn't make any noise.
She looks around at the tall shelves filled with books, the students sitting quietly, and the librarian at the desk. And she realizes that she needs to ask for help, but isn't completely sure how to begin.
That moment of hesitation is something many learners experience, where they know what they want, but they are unsure how to express it clearly and politely.
But instead of avoiding the situation, Ria takes a deep breath and decides to try. As Ria slowly approaches the librarian's desk, she gently adjusts her notebook in her hands, takes a quiet breath to calm her nervousness, and then says with a polite smile, "Excuse me, could you please help me find a book that I need for my class? Because I've just started coming to this library and I'm still trying to understand how everything is organized."
That sentence feels incredibly natural and complete, because she is not only asking for help in a polite way, but she is also giving a small explanation about her situation, which makes the listener more understanding and willing to help.
Yes, and what I really like here is how she connects her request with a reason. Because when you explain why you need help, your sentence automatically sounds more human and less mechanical.
And also, the way she speaks slowly and clearly makes a big difference, because even a simple sentence can sound confusing if it's rushed or spoken without confidence.
Absolutely. And learners should remember that even if they cannot say such a long sentence perfectly, they can still say, "Excuse me, could you help me?" And then slowly add more details.
Yes, because communication is not about perfection. It's about trying, even if your sentence is not complete.
After hearing her request, the librarian responds kindly and asks for more details. And Ria looks at her notebook carefully before saying, "Yes, I'm looking for a book called Introduction to Environmental Science, which my teacher suggested during our last class, and I wanted to start reading it as soon as possible so I can better understand the topic before our next lesson."
That is such a beautifully structured sentence, because it not only gives the title of the book, but also explains the purpose behind finding it, which makes the communication feel more complete and meaningful.
Exactly. And when you include small details like, my teacher suggested it, or I want to prepare early, it makes your English sound more natural, like real conversation rather than memorized lines.
And I think it also helps the listener understand your urgency, which can sometimes make them more helpful and attentive.
That's a great observation, Arav, because communication is not just about words, it's also about clarity and intention. As the librarian begins checking the computer system, typing slowly while looking at the screen, Ria stands quietly beside the desk, holding her notebook close, trying to remain calm while also thinking about what she might need to say next.
And in that quiet moment, where nothing much is happening on the outside, there is actually a lot happening inside her mind. Because she might be thinking about whether she spoke correctly or whether she should say something else.
Yes, and sometimes learners start replaying their sentence in their head, wondering if they made a mistake.
I've done that so many times where I keep thinking, did I say that correctly? Instead of just relaxing.
And that's completely normal. But it's important to remember that communication is a process, and small mistakes are part of learning. When the librarian explains the location of the book, Ria listens carefully, but she realizes that she didn't fully understand the directions. So instead of pretending, she politely says, "I'm really sorry. I didn't fully understand the section you mentioned, so could you please show me where it is? If it's not too much trouble for you, because I'm still getting familiar with the library layout."
That sentence is incredibly polite and thoughtful, because she is not only asking for help again, but she is also acknowledging her confusion in a respectful way.
Yes, and this is very important. Never pretend to understand if you don't, because asking again politely is always better than getting lost.
And walking around the wrong shelves for 10 minutes, that has definitely happened to me.
Same here.
So learners should feel comfortable asking again, as long as they do it politely.
After finally finding the book and spending a few moments flipping through its pages to make sure it's the right one, Ria walks back to the librarian's desk with noticeably more confidence in her posture and voice, and says, "Hi again. I was able to find the book I was looking for, and I would really like to borrow it for my assignment. So could you please guide me through the process of issuing it?"
That sentence clearly shows how her confidence has grown, because now she is speaking more smoothly, adding more detail, and sounding much more comfortable than before.
One important thing to remember is that longer sentences are not about using difficult words, but about expressing your thoughts clearly, politely, and naturally.
And when you speak in complete ideas instead of very short phrases, your English automatically sounds more fluent and more confident.
So instead of saying just, "Help me," try saying, "Could you please help me find this book?"
It's a small change, but it makes a big difference in how people respond to you. Have you ever experienced a situation where you wanted to ask something in English, but you felt nervous because of the environment, like a classroom or a library?
If yes, try using these sentences the next time you face a similar situation, and notice how your confidence slowly improves with practice.
Share your experience with us in the comments, because your story might help someone else feel more confident too.
And don't forget to subscribe to the English Passage podcast for more natural and real-life English conversations.